Hi guys, welcome back. Football Heaven 24/7. I'm your host Jamie Carter. Just coming on today, doing a review of the weekend's actions for the 13th and the 14th of August. Obviously, we got a lot of games in. Well, I'm going to start off as usual with the Premier League as we normally do. So great results to be fair. Great games actually. A few massive surprise, well, kind of massive surprises. But go straight into the first game. Arsenal against Leicester City. Arsenal, they've just come off the back of a 2-0 win at Crystal Palace. Played fantastically. Goals from Martinelli, and I can't remember the other guy that scored, but they've done fantastic in that game. That was the first game of the Premier League season. That was last Friday night. But going into this game, it was Gabriel Jesus's first game at home, playing at the Emirates in front of a full house. Leicester City, obviously, they lost their goalkeeper Schmeichel to Nice over in France. And so they had Ward in goal for them, which is kind of a guy that barely ever plays in goal for them. He made a second mistake a goal to lead to the second goal. Gabriel Jesus got two goals in the game. Xhaka got a goal. Martinelli scored. Leicester got briefly back into it. They were back in it at 3-1. They were back in it coming in at 3-2 actually. They got up to 3-2 at one point, having gone like 3-1 down. But eventually Arsenal just pulled away and won 4-2. Martinelli got in that fourth goal. So great start for Arsenal. That's two wins out of two now. Arsenal has cemented their spot in second place. At the top of the table, it's Manchester City who equally had a great start. Manchester City, they've not come up against massively difficult teams. They played West Ham in the first game last weekend. They beat them 2-0, two goals from new striker Erling Haaland. Had a fantastic start. He didn't get on the score sheet this weekend. It basically, Man City beat Bournemouth, newly promoted Bournemouth. Bournemouth had a great win the previous week, 2-0 at Villa, playing at home to Villa even. But they just got outplayed in this game. They were 3-0 down at half time. Goals from Gundogan, De Bruyne, and Phil Foden. And then an own goal in the second half from Jefferson Lerma basically meant that Manchester City lost that game 4-0. So obviously, that not really much of a surprise. Most people were predicting sort of like 3-4-5-0 to Manchester City, to be fair, in that game. So that basically just lived up to, yeah, to what most people would expect, to the hype rip, basically. The earlier kickoff on the Saturday was Aston Villa against Everton. It was a battle of two former England teammates, Steven Gerrard and Frank Lampard, two fantastic players back in their time. One for Liverpool, obviously Steven Gerrard, and one playing for Chelsea. Won lots and lots of trophies, more so for Lampard. Lampard, in fact, has the best record for the most goals of a midfielder in the Premier League era. Truly fantastic player. But in this game, Gerrard came out on top just narrowly. They won. Aston Villa won 2-0. Goals from Danny Ings and Buendia scored, and then there was an own goal from Digne for the Aston Villa defender that made it 2-1 in the end to Aston Villa. Anyway, going into the other games, Brighton were playing at home to Newcastle. Now, Brighton were fantastic last season. They had their best season ever in the Premier League, finishing ninth under their um, manager Graham Potter. Newcastle, obviously, Eddie Howe came in sort of like towards the end of last season. Obviously, they're the richest club in the world, as we know now, because of the Saudi Arabian prince being in charge of them and all the money he has. Um, but in this game, it was a bit of a stalemate. Didn't really live up to the hype at all. A lot of people were finding it hard to call who would win the game, to be fair, because it's two sort of up and coming teams. But the game finished 0-0 anyway between Brighton and Newcastle. Anyway, when we go into another game, it was Southampton against Leeds. Now, Leeds had a great start the last weekend. They beat Wolverhampton Wanderers 2-1 at home. In this game, Leeds got off to a great start. Literally, all the goals came in the second half. Rodrigo put Leeds 2-0 up with two goals, obviously. And then Joe Aribo, who's coming on from Glasgow Rangers, got transferred in the summer. He scored a goal to pull Southampton back on the 72nd minute. And then Kyle Walker Peters, a guy that used to play for Spurs that's now signed permanently with Southampton, got the equaliser 9 minutes before the end. So Southampton fought back from two down, showed a bit of fight. They're going to need to show that because at the start of the season, Southampton were classed as one of the favourites to go get relegated from the Premier League. I don't think, well, I sort of called that Southampton could possibly be in the shake at the end of it all. But I think there's going to be some other teams down there. I think Everton, they've brought in some players, but I think they will still struggle, and I think Wolves will be close to there as well. But it's early days. We're only 2 games in, but that was a 2-all draw in the end anyway at Southampton, between Southampton and Leeds. And then there's 2 more games from the Saturday. Wolves was playing at home to Fulham. That was another boring 0-0 draw, although Mitrovic had a penalty for Fulham towards the end, but he missed the penalty, and the game finished 0-0. And then the biggest shock of the weekend, it came at Brentford. Manchester United, they're on something of a free fall at the moment. They've got a new manager in Erik Ten Hag, but nothing's happening there. Manchester United are going to crap, basically. They had a poor defeat against Brighton, although Brighton are quite a decent team these days, sort of mid-table team. But they lost 2-1 to Man United. To Brighton at home last weekend. But then they got absolutely smashed by Brentford. They were 4-0 down after 35 minutes. Just poor mistakes. The second goal especially was poor. They tried to play out from the back, but Brentford closed them down really quickly. Snatched the ball off it. Manteus Jensen scored his first ever Premier League goal to put Brentford 2-0. That was after Josh De Silva got the opening goal. And then Ben Mee scored his first goal on his home debut for Brentford, having come from Burnley last season, who he played for last season. And then Bremo scored a goal. He was class for Brentford last season when they did so well, finishing 13th. So massive shock, 4-0 defeat. Manchester United brought on 3 subs at the start of the second half. Brentford didn't score any more goals after that. They had chances. Man United had 1 or 2 chances, sort of half chances for Ronaldo, but he didn't put them away. So yeah, massive shock. Brentford. I mean, I was sort of thinking Brentford would beat them, but I thought only narrowly, like 2-1 or something, because Man United are just playing so poorly. There's just no cohesion in the team. It's probably one of the worst Manchester United teams I've seen in my lifetime. And yeah, I don't know what the fans must be thinking. There was banners in the crowd saying "Get the Glazers out." The family that runs Manchester United, they've had enough because they keep buying all these crap players that are just not doing anything for the team. So yeah, Man United got smashed. So remains to see what happens. Man United need new owners. They need people that are actually going to invest money. They need people that know how to find better recruitment or scouts to get in the better players that are going to fight more for Manchester United. Manchester United need players that are going to fight, players that are going to have authoritative figures. Ronaldo's a great player, but he just whinges far too much when things aren't going his way, and they don't need that. Back in the days of Fergie, I know things have changed a lot, but as a manager, you've got to stamp your authority, and you've got to say, if I like an Arteta at Arsenal, Aubameyang was messing about, not turning up, making excuses, saying he had injuries or there was sickness or family problems, trying to make excuses, and he wasn't turning up for vital games that Arteta needed him for. So rather than Arteta pander to him like Manchester United have had to do with Ronaldo, because obviously he's the kind of money that he can bring into the club, because of his name. Instead of pandering to it, Arteta was like, right, let's get rid of him. They got rid of him to Barcelona. And you can see that Arsenal now this season are looking at as a progressive team. And I think Arsenal, like Tottenham, have got a good chance of popping in, maybe being cheeky and slipping into that top 3, you know what I mean, and knocking someone out that is usually up there over the last couple of years. So there's going to be competitive. I like to see it. I think personally, Manchester City, Arsenal, Chelsea, Tottenham, Liverpool, they're all going to be fighting away for those places. Manchester City, I think, I did say Liverpool, but it's going to go right down to the wire with both those teams. Early days, I'm still going to stick with Liverpool to win it, but although I do think Manchester City have got the quality, but I just think only Manchester United has ever won the Premier League 3 times on the bounce. I just think I think Man City are going to come unstuck. Might come unstuck, So we'll see what happens. Still early days. So that was all the Saturday games. Today, I've literally just watched both the games. I've watched my beloved Forest playing their first game in 23 years at home. It was a sellout crowd. Obviously, Lingard playing against his old team from a few seasons back, playing against West Ham. West Ham had a lot of chances. They hit the underside of the crossbar twice. There was a goal line clearance from Nico Williams, the Forest defender that's just coming from Liverpool. There was lots of chances. There was a missed penalty by Declan Rice, but ultimately it was a goal that bounced off a defender and hit off the shins of Awoniyi, or whatever his name is, the new guy that's come in for Forest, who came in from the German side Stuttgart. He scored 15 goals for them last year. So a good start for him. Obviously, hopefully that'll build his confidence up. Forest in their second game after losing 2-0 away at Newcastle, which is not really a crime to lose 2-0 at Newcastle these days. They get on track. They got their first points on the board. and they sit in 10th place now because of that result today. So yeah, they held out. They done well. Forest had their chances. I would say overall maybe West Ham should have got a point, but I really feel that Forest put more effort in and put more heart into the game. So, and I don't just say that as a Forest fan. I just see they were just running around. They shut off a lot of threats. Bowen barely got a look in. He was taken off. Antonio had a few sort of half chances, didn't have a look in really. Um, it was a crazy, crazy game. I mean, 2 goals were ruled out either end. One goal was ruled out for West Ham, which would have put them 1-0 up. Benrahma got a goal, but like Antonio body checked one of the Forest defenders, so that goal was ruled out by VAR. And then Forest were narrowly offside and that would have put Forest 2-0 up when Brennan Johnson was just offside slightly with his leg. So yeah, good start for Forest. 1-0, winning 1-0 against West Ham on the first Sunday game. The second Sunday game was a massive, massive London derby between Chelsea and Tottenham. It was Antonio Conte coming back to his former club where he'd won the Premier League title back in 2016-17. He had they played. It was a great game. I mean, Chelsea looked like they'd won it. They went 1-0 up early on, quite early into the game. Um, through quite a very good goal from Koulibaly, who'd come in from Napoli, new defender there, signed from Napoli in Italy. So he scored from a half volley, just outside the box on his right foot, and then there was an equaliser from Hjulberg for the Danish midfielder for Spurs, and then Reece James put Chelsea 2-1 ahead, and then right near the end, probably on the 93rd minute in injury time, there was a own goal from a corner crossed in from Reece James. So Reece James scored at both ends. But that meant that the result just finished 2-2 in the end, basically, between the two London rivals. And it showed that Tottenham are making big progress. As I said, Tottenham and Arsenal, I really do think are going to run Liverpool and Manchester City a lot tighter this season, along with Chelsea. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see. I hope that there's only 5 points or 6 points between all of them, just because it'll make it more interesting for the whole season. But yeah, that was the Premier League anyway in general. So because of that, Manchester City are, as I say, are top at the end of the second week's worth of fixtures, and Arsenal as well. They've both got 6 points. Everyone else behind them's on 4 points, something like that. As I said, Forest are lying in 10th. There's a few, Bournemouth, Forest, and Fulham are all lying in mid-table, so they've all done really well. Each newly promoted team, in fact, has won. Has held their own basically. Fulham hasn't had a win yet, but they've had 2 great draws. Bournemouth had a good win 2-0 at Villa. Forest recorded their first win from the first home win of the season against West Ham. Really hard fought and hard earned victory. So yeah, so great weekend for Premier League fixtures. Anyway, we're going to nip into the next 3 leagues now. We're going to look at the Championship and obviously League One and League Two. So going into the Championship, Blackpool was playing at home to Swansea. Blackpool missed a penalty. Put them 1-0 up. They missed that, but Swansea basically scored through Nisham on the 87th minute, right near the end. They were made to pay for that missed penalty that the Blackpool had. So Swansea get their first win of the season, sees them up into mid-table. Cardiff City was playing in the early kick-off. They were on Sky Sports against Birmingham on the Saturday. They won 1-0 through a goal from Philogene Bidens, a bit of a mouthful. He came in on from, I believe he was playing for Liverpool in the youth team, so he's come in. There seems to be a good system going on between Cardiff and Liverpool as far as them getting some youth players from Liverpool that seem to do well at Championship level. So Cardiff record another home win. That keeps them in the playoff area in 5th. Huddersfield came from 1-0 behind. Huddersfield had a great day. They won 3-1. Goals from Nakayama, Ward, and Jordan Rhodes, and a goal from Stoke City was from Baker, defender. Hull City yet again record another great win. Their new side in Estupiñán scored 2 goals against newly relegated Norwich City, who were one of the favourites to go up this season. I actually predicted them to finish as champions this season. The early form doesn't look too promising. They've yet to record a win. They've had a draw and 2 defeats, so they're right down on the bottom of the table in the Championship. But as we know, teams can be at the bottom of the Championship after several games and still end up finishing getting promoted like Forest did last year. So early days, but like I say, West Hull beat Norwich City 2-1. Luton was playing against Preston. A goal from Potts meant Preston won 1-0. Another good result for Millwall. Coventry City, where they haven't been able to play at home a lot recently because of a bad pitch. So they've had a few games that they've had to like either call off or play at other grounds. Like they played their EFL Cup game at Burton Albion Stadium the other week, in midweek, and lost 4-1 to Bristol City. But they went 2-0 up quite early on. McFadzean and Godden got 2 goals for them, put them 2-0 up. But Cooper, Honeyman and Saville scored goals for Millwall, made them fight back, and they ended up winning the game 3-2 Millwall. So it's a good result for them. That's put Millwall into 4th in the Championship. Rotherham continue to defy the odds. They were one of the favourites to get relegated at the start of the season. They recorded their first win of the season after having drawn their first home game against Swansea City 1-0. They won 4-0 against Reading. Goals from Wood, Washington, Lindsay, and Abedny. I can't even say his name, but he's become quite a useful striker so far for Rotherham. So they won 4-0. Obviously, Paul Ince, who runs Reading, wasn't very happy, and he made a massive apology to the fans through the media. Sunderland have also had a very good start to the season, but they were 2-0 up in a game, and they recorded a very, very large crowd. It was nearly 38,000 for this game, playing at home to Queen's Park Rangers. They were 2-0 up, goals from Ross Stewart and Ellis Sims, who also were on the score sheet away at Bristol City last weekend. So they're making a great partnership. So put them 2-0 up. But in the last 3 minutes of the game, Elias Chair for Queen's Park Rangers and Sonny Dieng, the goalkeeper, got a goal in injury time, 2 minutes into injury time at the end of the game to make the game finish 2-2 between Sunderland and Queen's Park Rangers. So Rangers are proving their mettle. They're only they're in 9th place, having won 1, drawn 1 and lost 1. So quite a solid start for them under their new manager. It wasn't Ian Beale, I said Ian Beale, which is the guy out of EastEnders. It's his name's Michael Beale. He was assistant to Gerrard at Aston Villa last season in the Premier League. So, anyway, looking at that, Watford had played Burnley on Friday night between 2 teams that had been relegated from the Premier League last season. Watford came out on top, goal from Tom Cleverley on the 45th minute, just before half-time. So that keeps Watford up there in second place. At the top of the Championship, it's Hull City in first, Watford in second. Playoff places, you've got Blackburn, Millwall, Cardiff and Sunderland. So good start, especially from teams like Sunderland, Cardiff, and Hull and Blackburn. Blackburn, in fact, are actually top today. Sorry, let me correct that. Blackburn are top of the table. Then it's Hull, Watford, Millwall, Cardiff and Sunderland. So Blackburn are top because they won 2-1 against West Bromwich Albion today. So a slow start for Steve Bruce. I think he's going to be in trouble if West Brom have another few bad games. That's how it is today. There's not much patience, especially with a big team in a league. If they're not winning after 4 or 5 games, people start calling for the sack. It's ridiculous, really, but that's how it goes today. So, yeah, so Blackburn won 2-1. That means that they've had 3 wins out of 3 at the start of the season. They're top of the league, of the Championship. And also another game that was played today was a game between Middlesbrough and Sheffield United. It was basically Chris Wilder playing against his old team. He's a Sheffield-born lad, manager of Middlesbrough, but they ended up in a 2-2 draw as well. So that keeps Middlesbrough and Sheffield United sort of around the mid-table. Well, Middlesbrough in the relegation area, and Sheffield United are sort of mid-table because of that. So, yeah, so that's basically what's going on at the moment. Relegation places at the bottom of the Championship. It's Middlesbrough, Bristol City, and Coventry, Bristol City, and Norwich City. So that's what's going on in the Championship. Anyway, I'm gonna breeze through League 1 and 2 because obviously I spent a lot of time on the Premier League and the Championship games. So yeah, going into League 1, one of the shocks of the weekend was Burton Albion. They were on a bit of a bad start. They'd had, I believe, 2 defeats at the start of the season. It was away at Accrington Stanley, a very difficult place to go in League 1 for any team. They got quite a good home record, Accrington Stanley, usually over the last few seasons. But Burton Albion raced into a 3-0 lead. They were 2-0 up at half-time. Kellard Dunn had scored a hat-trick. So they were 3-0 up, 3-1 up. And then there was a fight. Then there was a fight back from Accrington. Accrington got to 3-2. Then Burton Albion got to 4-2. And then there was 2 goals, one in the 90th minute and one in the 96th minute in injury time. That meant that Accrington Stanley pulled it back to finish 4-4 against Burton. So a bit massive drama in that game. But that was the most dramatic game of the weekend in League 1. rest of the results I'll just run through. And Bristol Rovers had an early kick-off at 12:30. They were playing against Oxford United, who's about, I think, 50 miles down the road from where they are, 56 miles. So kind of a localish derby. Marquis scored for Bristol Rovers. That puts Rovers up in third place in League One. Cambridge, they had a good win to keep them in the playoff areas in League One. They won 2-1 against Exeter, which was good considering Exeter had won 4-0 the previous week against Port Vale. Cheltenham, they lost 2-0 at home to Portsmouth, 2 goals from Bishop. Derby won 2-1 against Barnsley. Ipswich Town beat MK Dons 3-0. Lincoln City drew 1-1 with Forest Green. Connor Wickham got his first goal for Forest Green. Morecambe against Fleetwood, that was 1-1. Plymouth beat Peterborough 2-0 after having lost at home in the same tie to Peterborough in the EFL Cup 2-0, so they got their revenge in that one. Port Vale drew 0-0 with Bolton. Sheffield Wednesday continued a decent start to the season, and they're sitting in second at the moment in the Championship, beating Chatham 1-0. And Wickham lost, having gone 1-0 up. They lost 2-1 at home to Shrewsbury Town. So at the top of the table, Ipswich Town at top, Sheffield Wednesday, 2 teams that win the Premier League when I was a kid. I think those 2 teams, I sort of predicted those 2 teams to be up there. I predicted Derby to be up there, which Derby are just outside the playoffs. So looking like my predictions could come true in League One, but it's early days. We're only 3 games in. Anyway, so we'll go into League Two now. Great solid start from Leyton Orient. Leyton Orient head the top of the table. They've had 3 wins on the bounce, and they had a great win against another sort of promotion rival, Mansfield Town, run by Nigel Clough, son of Brian Clough, the legendary Forest manager. Leyton Orient won 1-0, so they're, like I say, they're top of the league. Walsall, who finished in second, who were in second at the moment, drew 1-1 at home to Stevenage. AFC Wimbledon against Doncaster Rovers, that was 2-2. Bradford City 2, Newport 0. Carlisle 1, Swindon Town 1. Harrogate 0, Crawley Town 0. Northampton 2, Hartlepool 1. Rochdale 0, Grimsby Town 1. Salford 3, Crewe Alexander 0. Stockport County get their first win back in the EFL. It's their first win in 11 years at this level. 1-0 they beat Colchester. Goal from Carl Wotton, who came in from Notts County recently. Sutton United beat Barrow 1-0. Mansfield won 5-0 against Gillingham. And that's the end of all the results for League Two. So, yeah, good weekend for a lot of the teams. As I say, at the top of the table in League Two, it's Leyton Orient after 3 games. Then Walsall, then Salford City. Obviously, they're run by the class of 92, the Manchester United legends, David Beckham, Gary Neville and Nicky Butt and all those lot. So in the playoff places, you've got Northampton, Stevenage, Barrow and Crewe. So at the start of the season, I predicted Crewe to be sort of like near the bottom end of the table, but looking like they're going to prove me wrong, I thought, because they was on a bad run. But yeah, very interesting. Early days of the season, Johnson's top of the goal scoring charts in League Two with 4 goals for Walsall. In the League One, Collins is the top scorer for Bristol Rovers, along with Burton Albion's Killed Dunn and Bishop and Brown for Portsmouth and Exeter, respectively. In the Championship, the top goal scorer is being shared between Ellis Sims of Sunderland and Vyman of Bristol City with 3 goals each. And in the Premier League so far, Rodrigo is the top goal scorer with 3 goals. So, and Martinelli and Mitrovic are behind with 2 each. So, and a number of other players like Gross, De Silva, Gabriel Jesus and Haaland. So, yeah, it's early days of the season. Really, really interesting. Great games today. Good comebacks from being behind twice for Spurs. Good Forest got the first 3 points of the season on board. I think Forest are going to be relying on that home form to stay up, to do well in the league this season. But as I say, I predicted at the start of the season, and I think people thought I was probably being biased, that Forest would finish in the top half of the league, and I'll still stick with that, because the fight that they showed today, and against a team that weren't going to fight as much, West Ham probably could have won that 2 or 3-1 today. So we'll see what pans out. But whoever you support, I hope they had a good weekend, and continue to like and subscribe. Let all your friends and family know about us. As I say, we're going to keep growing and getting better and better. Got some great content. I'm thoroughly into all this, so I try to give you the facts and the details as correctly as I can. A lot of the other sites, the more popular ones at the moment, they don't have great knowledge on the football, to be fair, and they say some mental stuff that I don't really, So I'm doing this site for all those fans out there that know their stuff properly. and have a good week, whoever you support. I'll do a few more episodes in the week, talking about the fixtures that are going to be going on in midweek. We've got some Championship and League One, League Two games going on. Obviously, I'll do my predictions for them, and I'll do my predictions for next weekend's games as well. So have a great week. All the best. This has been Football 11 24/7. I'm your host, Jamie Carter. Bye for now.